All right, and we are live. So welcome back to Dapp University. So today is a critical day for the entire crypto space. Okay, we're going to talk about that in this video, what you need to pay attention to, what some likely outcomes of this are from today, okay? We're going to look at a lot of the news updates that have happened in this space since our live stream yesterday. Again, we do these live streams Monday through Friday on this channel. Just subscribe, turn on notifications. You'll find out about those whenever we go live. I am back from being sick. We talked about that in the live streams, but in case you're just tuning back in, I was off last week. I caught the crud that everybody's, worried about. Can't talk about on YouTube. That's the superstition, at least. Anyways, we're going to check out the crypto markets, answer some more questions, and a lot more. So if you're new around here, I'm Gregory, and on this channel, I turn you into a blockchain master. So if that's something that you're interested in, then smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm and subscribe to this channel. And if you want to learn how to master blockchain step by step, start to finish, then head on over to dappuniversity.com/bootcamp to get started today. Last but not least, like nothing I'm saying in this video is going to be financial advice, and there's lots of scammers down in the comment section below. Just ignore them. Like, I'm never going to give you my phone number on YouTube or ask you to invest with me. So I got people jumping in the chat here. Some people are saying they can't hear, but let's see. Can y'all hear me okay? Let's just see if the stream got audio. It's just one person, but it says made you look. So I don't know if this is like a practical joke. Okay, I think I just got had. Okay, all right. So let's go ahead and jump into here. We got, an overwhelming majority of people saying they can hear me. So I don't know if made you look is joking or if they actually can't hear. If you can't hear, maybe try rejoining or something on your computer. I don't know. So let's jump into this first item, the most important thing to talk about today, which is why today is such a critical day for the entire crypto space. Okay. So today we are going to have, we're going to find out, what took place inside the meeting from the Fed. Okay. So basically, there's a Fed meeting that's happening, I believe it was yesterday. I'm not 100% sure how this works. I don't know if the meeting lasts 2 days or if they just meet one day and then release the minutes of the meeting the next day. Whole point is Fed meets. We don't know what they talk about until they publicly release it. And we're talking about when that's going to come out. But what's the whole picture here? So basically, crypto's been in this ridiculous slump for a long time, right? And we saw some really big pain over the past couple weeks for sure. And that has been highly correlated with what's going on with the equities markets, okay, stock market. Just like everything is in the toilet, okay? So a big factor here is, the beginning of the year, beginning of January, Fed talking about raising interest rates and tightening its monetary policy, okay? We've seen a lot of loose monetary policy over the past couple of years, and now it kind of looks like the chickens are coming home to roost. And, we've gotten some indication that things are going to tighten. And so we've seen the markets absolutely freak out in response to this. Okay. Many people think this is just pricing in rate hikes, that they're priced in now, that, the information moves really fast and therefore it reacts to these things before they happen. So there's lots of theories about this, but, there's a good chance that whatever comes out of this meeting today, whatever the Fed says they're going to decide to do, whether they're going to be, whether they're going to meet our expectations in terms of tightening in monetary policy or worse or less severe people think they're going to, that could have an impact on what, investors think about crypto markets, think about stock markets, all that type of stuff, okay? So I've got some theories on this or some, possible outcomes. Of course, we're seeing crypto markets recover. You saw some pretty bad carnage over the past week or so, but some recovery, right? I mean, ETH's up 7% in the past 24 hours, becomes up 4%. We're seeing lots of 7, 4%, 9, 10%, right, across the board. Highly correlated with what's going on with equities markets, okay? So if you just look at like the S&P 500, NASDAQ, whatever, just some sort of general references to how the stock market's doing, we can see the same picture. There's a high correlation here, okay? So when are we going to have full information about this? Well, we can actually look on the Fed's Twitter here. Official statement. Okay, so you can actually watch it live. Press conference with Chair Powell at 2:30 p.m. Okay, Eastern time, so that's 1:30 Central, 12:30 Mountain, 11:30 Pacific. So I'll put a link to this in the live chat replay. Okay, if you want to actually watch this live and see, what they're talking about and interpret it for yourself. You can probably also just watch Twitter during that time. I'm sure lots of people will be live tweeting it. I doubt that I'll be live tweeting it. I got a lot to do today. But yeah, that's definitely what to watch out for. So what are some possible outcomes of this? Well, like I said before, it's either, the Fed is going to meet our expectations, meet the market's expectations in terms of tightening monetary policy, or it's going to be worse, okay, which in that case, just stands to reason that it would either the markets would do worse or take longer to recover, okay, in the short term. Or, it's not as bad as people are thinking it's going to be, which would potentially mark a bottom from what we just experienced. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. Okay, we really don't know. But here's one possible outcome, and I'm leaning this direction, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a macroeconomist. I'm not, a genius in terms of this area or anything like that, right? I'm a developer. I try to stick to what I'm good at, but people, want to hear about this stuff, so I can just give you my opinion. We don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so one very possible outcome is that essentially it's a classic negotiation where basically you come on strong and you say, all right, this is what we're going to do, or this is what we want. These are our terms. Okay. And then it freaks everybody out. And then sort of the counter to that is, okay, we're going to make it less bad than we said. And that makes the outcome not seem as bad as you thought it was going to be in the first place. The anchoring bias. You see this all the time in sales. You see this all the time in negotiation. It's like the old adage, how do you sell a $5,000 watch? You put it next to a $30,000 watch because the $5,000 watch seems cheap compared to the $30,000 watch. See it all the time. If you go into a jeweler, that's what they do. They hardly ever sell the $30,000 watch. That helps them sell a whole lot of $5,000 watches. So same type of thing. If we say we're going to do all this stuff and then they step back and say, oh, well, we're not going to do all that. And then whatever the compromise in the middle, everybody goes, okay, that's fine. Right. And then it doesn't seem as bad as if we just said that initially. You would have freaked out. Right. So that's one possible outcome. Now, another possible outcome is the exact opposite, which is what the take that I've been seeing floating around online right now, which is essentially hey, appointments are up. Basically, if people want to keep their jobs, they need to keep inflation under control. And for that reason, they need to stay hawkish, at least as much as people think they are, or worse. So it's really hard to tell. We're just going to have to wait and see. Somebody says if Fed gives good news, we dump. If Fed gives bad news, we dump. So we just, we dump either way. It's also possible, It's it could go up, down, sideways. All right, so anyways, that's the thing to watch out for today. It's going to be pretty critical. Like I said, we've seen a little bit of rebound in crypto prices. In terms of my long-term thesis is still intact about, creating technology that has a lot of value behind it. Some of this stuff that happened here, looks eerily similar to what happened, back in that March 2020. We had, what happened in March 2020, you could very conceivably say was we were going to go on an uptrend, all right, but we wanted to start a bull market maybe. And then we had outside macroeconomic forces basically cancel that or delay it, okay? So you could say something similar about this latest correction that we see. Now, that being said, the March of 2020 thing was a really fast, aggressive dump. Not what we saw over here we've been kind of on a downtrend for a while. Then we saw a quick drop at the bottom, whereas March 2020 was kind of a bit of an uptrend and then a quick, just cancellation or delay. So, but I guess the similarity in my mind is that we had a trend, the trend looked strong, and then boom, like trend canceled because of outside forces. So we'll see if that continues to increase. I'm not going to make any promises. I'm not going to sit here and promise the moon and say, everything's going to go to, $1 million tomorrow. I'm also not going to hear doomers, everything going to zero. That's what so many people have said. Like everybody who promised like these astronomical price predictions by the end of 2021 are like now saying it's going to go lower. It's going to go lower. So I'll be very clear that I still have long-term price targets for Bitcoin and ETH of $10,000 per coin for Ether, $100,000 per coin for Bitcoin. But, I'm not putting like firm dates on those things. I think they can get there faster than lots of other things, especially now. I mean, when you buy into volatility, when the price goes down and you buy more and then the price increases, well, you have more. You have more of the thing when the price increases. So, if Bitcoin gets back above $50,000, $60,000 and you bought more in the dip, then that means you have more money than when Bitcoin was last $50,000. So the volatility can be a bit of a gift. It's not for everybody. It's a bumpy ride. Again, not financial advice for you. Not telling you to buy the dip. I'm currently not buying right now. I'm waiting to see kind of what happens. So I like to be very clear about my own actions. Okay, so let's talk about the metaverse for a minute, because metaverse is a hot topic. Okay, I saw this. I posted this on my Twitter yesterday. That's the metaverse. Goldman Sachs sees metaverse as an $8 trillion revenue opportunity. $8 trillion in revenue. That's crazy. That's huge. Okay. So, I mean, think about what that does to the companies or the protocols that build the metaverse. All right. That means the valuations of those things are going to be insanely high. Okay. So think about, if you go look at the stock market and you go look at all these tech companies that trade insane multiples of their earnings or their revenue, like just apply that line of thinking to the metaverse. Okay. What if metaverse companies or entities were worth 10 times their earnings, right? That'd be 80 trillion. That'd be absolutely crazy. So, I mean, what happens when those things become tokenized and then you can buy, shares in those things as shares, right? But ownership in those things with tokens, it's absolutely crazy. So, metaverse, it's early. We can talk about that for sure. But we also saw this. Where metaverse assets are slated or under consideration by Grayscale. Okay, so this is more validation of demand for metaverse and elevating the status of those products in the eyes of investors. So Grayscale, if you don't know what it is, basically it's a trust where you can get ownership in these assets through the form of a trust. Okay. You buy shares in a trust, basically, like Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, all that type of stuff. And they're planning on adding layer 1 cryptocurrencies and Metaverse. Okay. So here's a list if you want to see examples of this. So also, not every asset under consideration will be turned to one of its investment products, right? This is just what they're thinking it could be. All right. So, I saw another take about Metaverse, about Facebook getting into it, right? And I'm going to reiterate sort of my position on the Metaverse. Metaverse feels a lot like the just blockchain space did in general back in early 2018, all right, or 27, maybe even 2016. Maybe that's better. The whole point is, in 2017, at the end of it, or early 2018, basically we had smart contracts, we had tokens, we had DeFi was an idea inside people's heads. We didn't know what we were going to do with blockchain for sure. We had some stuff that was going to work, and we had a lot of great talent and resources realizing the potential of the technology. We didn't exactly know what we're going to do with it and what was actually going to be long lasting. That makes a lot of people uncomfortable, like when they're looking at the space, but there's a high likelihood that something really amazing is going to come out of that. And it did. I mean, we have DeFi, right? Like DeFi has a ton of potential for the future and already has a ton of users now. So NFTs have a ton of potential for the future and they have users now. So Metaverse is kind of the same way. Where we have this virtual land, right? That may not be the final use case, but it looks like a toy, right? It looks like something that a lot of people are not going to take seriously when they get inside of it. But that's how crypto was when we first like kind of launched, and then the boom and bust happened, and then everybody kind of like left the space for that reason. So Metaverse feels very same way. You might even say Metaverse feels more like smart contracts than crypto did maybe like in 2016. Like that's even way earlier before like had like stuff shipped, but maybe it's not a fair comparison. Anyways, it's early. So it's going to take time for us to figure out exactly what's going to work with the Metaverse. Now, a lot of stuff's not going to work. A lot of stuff's going to look stupid. It's going to look like a toy. It's going to fail. Okay, but that doesn't mean there's not going to be some enduring set of use cases that actually stick and take off and are highly valuable. There's no guarantee about how big it's going to get, right? But that's my thesis because it looks really similar to lots of other stuff that's happened in the past. So one interesting take I saw on this about Facebook getting into the Metaverse. Of course, they rebranded their company to Meta. I saw a YouTube video float around about this, about the Metaverse. It had this perspective inside of it. I can't remember the video. I wish I could give them source credit, but whatever. I could go through my YouTube history and find it. But basically they were saying that they thought the Metaverse was like nowhere close to ready for prime time. I think that's also true. But that the reason that Facebook is basically jumping into it early is just like keep everybody else out of the Metaverse, right? Basically, they're going to throw all their resources into it and, try to not just get in and colonize before everybody else, but just have this sort of, tour de force where it's like, hey, we're doing this. Like, you probably shouldn't be doing this. And they can sit there and bleed for a long time before those sort of sticky emergent use cases come out. And then whenever they do, they can sort of dominate. So that's sort of the thesis behind why Facebook would, jump into a space that's so nascent and, maybe even too immature for real users right now, is to sort of just positioning, really, keep other people out. So that's very similar to the kinds of things I've said about it in the past, but I just kind of want to reiterate that because I thought it was a good perspective. So another thing that came out that I just became aware of yesterday, I don't know if y'all have seen this, is the Etherscan chat feature. Okay. So apparently now you can get on Etherscan and see a chat bubble next to addresses, and you can just like start chatting with them over the blockchain. So it's like peer-to-peer chat based on crypto. Now, what's interesting is, now the things you have to understand about this, it's not a blockchain-based solution as far as I understand. It uses Etherscan servers, okay? And the user themselves are not necessarily going to get notified of your messages, but you can still get on Etherscan and do wallet-to-wallet chat if the other person is expecting to hear from you. I guess it's like email in that regard or something, but a little more live, conversational. So definitely interesting. Yeah, there's mixed theories about, like sort of the blockchain-based chat stuff. Like, do people care about it? I'm not saying the Etherscan feature is not cool. That's not what I'm saying at all. This is definitely cool. But I'm talking about what, do we need, in terms of if someone were to spin this off and create like a blockchain chat service in and of itself, is it going to work? Part of the problem with this, and I actually considered creating some sort of blockchain messaging application way back in the day when we were playing around with like Whisper and stuff like that. And I talked to somebody about this who's a pretty prominent person in the space who has gone on to found a project that was acquired by a much, 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 much larger crypto company that pretty much everybody watching this video would know. And I was talking to that person, and I was saying like, hey, like, what do you think about building a chat app? And they were like, we got too many messaging apps. Like, everybody has all these messaging apps. Nobody wants a new one. Even if you create like a crypto-based one that's like blockchain decentralized, like the cost of switching and messaging, it's just absolutely crazy. Like, nobody wants more messages. So I was like, it's probably right. So I steered clear to that one. So we'll see. I mean, if a decentralized messaging app comes out that like becomes massive, I would love to be stand corrected. But that was just one of the biggest things that dissuaded me from going down that particular path. So is the cost fees to chat on Etherscan? I don't think so. I haven't used it just yet, but because I think it's just on their servers for free. So another thing we're seeing, yesterday I talked about, another tech giant getting into Web3 space, right? This is YouTube potentially releasing NFTs somehow on their platform. Of course, Twitter now has NFTs where you can connect your wallet to your Twitter account and you can display your NFT in there, and it shows all this, meaningful information about the NFT owner and the wallet and stuff. So, we're going to see a Web3 explosion in terms of people migrating in the space or expanding into the space. I try to keep with the term expansion because I think it's a better view. It's not just people, it's not just people like tearing down all of Web 2.0 and migrating to Web 3.0. It's really expansion. Okay. So that being said, we are seeing a pretty big migration of Web 2 talent over to the Web 3 space because, workers, humans are finite. You can really only do one job at a time effectively. All right, especially when you're talking about upper brass. So we're seeing lots of this stuff. So we're seeing leaving YouTube and going to Polygon as the CEO of Polygon Studios. Okay. So this is big. All right, this is big. And this is not the last time we're going to see stuff like this. We're seeing more big people from Web 2.0 space headed over to Web 3.0 to lead up these projects. Okay. So what's another thing that's really important about that? Well, at the end of the day, what I try to help people do in this channel is to change their careers and, get in the blockchain space or accomplish whatever the goals they are. Most people want to get a job or become a freelancer, whatever it is. And part of this is like, well, it's social proof. You're following a lot of people who are making big bets on this space, and they're making big bets with their careers. I mean, that's what I did, right? I made a big bet on this space long time ago, right? In 2017, basically. So that paid off handsomely, and I think that we're still early enough to where there's a ton of upside potential left in this space. I mean, we're really just scratching the surface in terms of the use cases. And as we go deeper, that's just going to generate more and more demand for tech talent in this space, which means more and more opportunity for people who want to learn these skills and get in and take advantage that way. I think it's the best way for most people to make long-term, life-changing wealth with cryptocurrency without having to buy crypto. I don't think buying crypto is bad. If you get a blockchain job, you can probably buy a lot more. But in terms of like, most people are looking for to fix their cash flow problem. They don't have enough money, or they want more money on a routine basis, right? To do whatever they want to do, live a better life, right? Provide for their family, all good stuff, right? And just getting a better job is typically a lot easier than having to really make it in crypto markets. So how to start? Go to my YouTube homepage, find the free courses there, but definitely check out the pinned video on my YouTube homepage. That's like how to become a blockchain developer in 2022. It's a complete roadmap about how to go there from start to finish. Okay. So, also, I don't know if you all saw this is a sort of a funny thing. If you all saw the back and forth from the McDonald's Twitter account, let's see if it's still on there. There's the big inside joke about whenever crypto prices go down, we all have McDonald's hats on. If we're going back to work at McDonald's. We saw this yesterday. This is actually on the McDonald's Twitter account. It was pinned tweet, which is, how are you doing, people who run crypto Twitter accounts? It's always the inside joke. It's like, here's your McDonald's application. You go work at McDonald's. People are always tagging them on the Twitter handle. They actually responded. We also saw this yesterday that Elon Musk tweeted out. He was saying, I will eat a Happy Meal on TV if McDonald's accepts Dogecoin. So McDonald's actually replied in a tweet. So only if Tesla accepts is this grimace coin. I don't know what this is a reference to. I'm probably showing my ignorance here. I guess this is like one of the McDonald's characters or something. Is that his name? Is his name Grimace? Yeah, okay. So I guess that's what it is. So McDonald's Grimace. So Grimace from McDonald's is a character featured in McDonald's commercial. I guess I remembered that. I just didn't know what his name was. So somebody says, how's my health? Yeah, thanks for asking. So I did have the thing that's been going around that I'm not supposed to talk about on YouTube. At least that's the superstition. Easier to avoid it than find out the hard way. So I was down for about a week solid. I'm still not 100%. I'd call myself about 90% now. I was probably at 85% yesterday, 80% the day before. So I do have my voice back. Okay, I have good enough energy back to get some work done. But last week I was just down flat. I was coughing all the time. Didn't have a voice really. Super tired. So I'm feeling better. Not totally 100% yet, but I have a feeling after this week and get some rest of the weekend, I'll be fine. Thanks for asking. Somebody made Grimace a new coin and it's allegedly popping up. That does not surprise me. Yeah, you have to know that's you make up a crypto on Twitter, somebody's gonna make it. Somebody says ETH to 2K after the Fed announcement. I don't know about that. We'll see. What do I think about developing on BSV? It's basically this. It's basically the same as developing for ETH. It uses Solidity. So if you understand Solidity and can develop for, you can develop for Ethereum, you can develop for Binance Smart Chain. Basically, I mean, you just have to change a couple things, like your RPC endpoint. You need to, and this is if you're writing smart contracts. I mean, running infrastructure is a different story for sure. If you just want to like create a coin or create an NFT and put it on Binance Smart Chain, it's basically the same thing as doing it on Ethereum. We just got to change some settings. Thoughts on gas optimization? Should a newbie care about it? That's a good question. So In general, no, you should not care about it as a beginner because the hint is in the word gas optimization. And when you're just starting out, you should not worry about an optimization. You should worry about the fundamentals. So gas optimization is important whenever you start working in your career. But you could even start working without understanding every detail of gas optimization. That's honestly something that just comes from experience in creating smart contracts and understanding like you're not just going to become a gas optimization expert until you've like tried to optimize for gas multiple times and talk to other people who are doing it. It's not just like one. It's not a monolithic skill, right? It's like just like security auditing is not a monolithic skill. You have to understand lots of different things, and the more you know about it, the more valuable you're going to be at that particular role. How many of the coins we were talking about today were worth 0 in 5 years? It's hard to say for sure. That's why I try to stick to quality stuff. Anything that's less quality, not for the long term. And that's what everybody else is thinking, which is why a lot of stuff's going to go to 0. I don't think like most, like, well, maybe that's not even true. I want to be very careful how I say this. A lot of stuff is going to go to 0. Some stuff's not going to, though. All right, everybody, that's all I got for today. As always, smash that like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. That really helps these videos out so that more people can learn about blockchain. And if you're as fascinated with this technology as I am, you want to get your hands dirty, how can you get started today? When you go to my YouTube homepage, you can find my free courses there. They're like Udemy courses, but they're totally free. And if you like those and you want to take the next step, or hey, maybe you want to take a master shortcut entirely, I actually become a blockchain master step-by-step start to finish over at dappuniversity.com/bootcamp. Okay, you don't have to be an expert to get started today. I've helped people with zero coding experience become real-world blockchain developers in a matter of months. So that's all I've got. And until next time, thanks for watching.